Hello everybody, welcome back to another reading. Today we're taking a look at the case of 28-year-old Sandra Bland, who was pulled over on July 10th by State Trooper Brian Encinia. He pulled her over because he had been following her for a while and noticed that she hadn't used her turn signal during a lane change. The two had a heated exchange after that, resulting in her basically being ordered out of the car, and she ended up being wrestled to the ground and arrested, and they took her to the jail in Waller County, Texas. There is footage of her there, also her mugshot. Initially, some people suspected that the mugshot was taken after she was deceased, but this was proven incorrect, as the footage clearly showed her still alive for that. It says here on July 13th, police stated that at 6:30 a.m., Sandra refused breakfast, and half an hour later at 7, told a jailer that they were fine. Then, according to Captain Brian Cantrell, about an hour after that, so this would have been 8 o'clock, Sandra asked via the intercom how she could make phone calls, and Cantrell told her that she could use the phone in her cell if she used a PIN. Cantrell also stated that there were no records of Sandra actually making any calls beyond that point. Then around 9 a.m., Bland was found in a semi-standing position hanging in her cell, according to them. Next day, the police issued a statement that Sandra had been found dead in her cell and that they believed she had hanged herself using a plastic bag. The Harris County Institute of Forensic Science conducted an autopsy which concluded that she had died through asphyxiation. A toxicology report released by the Harris County Medical Examiner's Office found a remarkably high concentration of THC for someone who had been in jail for 3 days, leading to speculation that Sandra may have had access to marijuana while in jail, though Waller County Assistant District Attorney Warren DeProm said that it was more likely that Bland had ingested a very large amount of marijuana prior to her arrest. Now, calls have been made for an independent investigation, and family and friends stated that it was unlikely that Sandra would have done this to herself, also noting that she was upbeat about the job she was about to begin for Prairie View A&M University. Though in March, she had posted a video to her Facebook page in which she said she was suffering from a little bit of depression as well as PTSD. Her sister noted that she had no medically diagnosed clinical depression, but had good and bad days. Canon Lambert, the family's lawyer, stated that Bland's March post gave little indication of her mindset around the time of her death. That she had been given multiple opportunities to find someone who could post bond, including a man she was staying with in Texas who ignored her calls, in quotation marks. Now, there was also Alexandria Pyle, who was an inmate held in the adjacent cell, and she later told the media that Sandra seemed sort of distraught, was very emotional, and was crying frequently. Paul, who spoke to Sandra through a tiny chute, said that Sandra was upset that her friend had not come to bail her out, and Paul stated that she never heard any loud noise or commotion that would indicate foul play in Bland's death. Now, this article goes into Brian Encinia quite a bit on how he had been known for pulling people over for small infractions, basically. He had done so, issuing 1,600 minor tickets in less than 12 months, using the pretext of little enforced minor infractions to then perform random searches in the hope of finding something criminal. So there's already something going on there. The family did file a wrongful death lawsuit, and in September 2016, Bland's family settled the lawsuit for $1.9 million, according to her mother, and the Sandra Bland Act was put forth and went into effect on September 1st, 2017, and mandated change to corrections and police policy when dealing with those with substance abuse or mental health concerns. In addition, electronic monitoring will be in place to ensure timely security checks for the welfare of those incarcerated. And particularly that last part would have really helped out a lot in this case. However, none of this is actually going to undo what happened to Sandra, and we don't really know exactly what happened because even though footage has been released, we don't know if that footage is 100% exactly what happened. In any case, we don't know anything what happened in her personal jail cell because there was no cameras in there either, so who knows what was going on there. And that is why I was asked to do a reading on this case. In order to do that, we are going to use the Modern Witch Tarot, which is already on the table. And for any further questions, I'm going to move on to the Deviant Moon deck, which is this one. So as per usual, I'm just going to start shuffling the deck. As soon as I have a table full of cards, we're going to stop and take a look. So without much further ado, let's get started. All right, let's take a look what we got here. We're starting at the top left with the King of Pentacles. It's in reverse, and then we have a Page of Pentacles upright and an Eight of Cups in reverse. Okay, so the King of Pentacles is mismanaging some resources here. Could be money, could be time, things that they own are not properly cared for. Maybe this is pointing towards a past where things were not quite well taken care of. Also a slight impulsive nature here with the Page of Pentacles upright. Somebody who is out there, really out in the world. As you can see, they're just doing their thing, they're enjoying life, they're on this big adventure, and that is also where most of the spending, I guess, is coming from. They're out there in the world and doing things, so they're not worried too much about that, and they also don't seem to feel like they want to leave that anytime soon. They're very fond of that mode that they find themselves in here. It looks as though, I think this is before the arrest even takes place. I think we're looking at an area or a time before then. So this may be the general mindset. Moving on to the Sun and the Two of Cups. So the Sun is showing that we have a sunny disposition. This could also be the what the family was talking about, that she was about to start a new job, which also seems to be pointing towards the Two of Cups here, which is normally like signing up for a new way of thinking, maybe signing on to a new group, new ideas. Could also just be a new relationship. That doesn't have to be romantic, but just in general, whenever you relate to somebody, that could also be a Two of Cups kind of event. And so maybe she was really looking forward to that, even though they may have come from two different worlds, because we're looking at the feet over here with Two of Cups people. One of them is in the water and the other is on the sand, which kind of gives me a bit of a Temperance vibe, like trying to find a balance here. So maybe she was kind of like looking forward to a balancing act to kind of like connect to this new group. And you know how you have to get settled in a new working environment whenever that is the case. So we have some hope here, and maybe some slightly incareful spending in the back, kind of impulsive, but so far nothing shocking. We have here the Two of Swords in reverse and the Two of Wands in reverse, so maybe we're not able to think of anything else that we would like to do. We also don't really want to go anywhere else, or we want to go someplace but we don't really have the option to do so, because we do see the Two of Wands looking at their phone. Kind of like how you would occasionally look at houses on Zillow or something. Like you kind of want to buy a house, but you know the prices are currently not what you can afford, but you kind of look every once in a while just in case you see something that makes you go, But so far, not actually seeing that type of thing popping up. So there are options considered that aren't quite in view yet. But let's see, second row, we have the Hermits. So we are sometimes retreating, and also retreating to perhaps another world. Perhaps this is pointing towards social media. I believe she was active on that as well. And she may have like really sat with those thoughts and opinions for some time. And out in the world, it may have also guided how she behaved, because we have here the Six of Swords. See, the swords and the swords are like words and thoughts, and the Six of Swords is basically being ferried to a certain location. I often see that, particularly when there's like a missing person case, like if somebody's taking you because they've told you that you need to go XYZ location, and you're like, okay. But in this case, it could also be that you have learned certain things from other people, and that guides you in your path, so to speak. Also something that we are in harmony with, because of the Four of Wands over here. May have struck up quite a few friendships as well along the way, maybe just in harmony in general with certain types of people here. So far we're not seeing much trouble, but we do have here the Seven of Cups in reverse. So Seven of Cups is normally like wishing for things, and in reverse it almost seems like there is nothing to wish for, and this could be anything that you could wish for. Maybe something that she hoped, like over here we're talking about potential opportunities. Maybe something she hopes eventually will come through, even though she doesn't quite believe it yet that it will happen. So there is that. But now we have here an Ace of Swords and an Ace of Pentacles, and followed by Justice. So that's an interesting combination. So the Ace of Swords is normally like new ideas, new initiatives, new thoughts, new words spoken, that type of thing. But it is very quickly followed by a new loss type of situation. So maybe there were harsh words spoken or new ideas tried out that were not really well thought through. and that may have led to this loss over here. A loss of time, maybe, a loss of resources, something along those lines. We see justice over here. It's upright, so far we're not looking at any injustice over here. This may indicate the point where she does actually come into contact with justice, or she feels that she needs to have justice done. So this could also be just her mindset leading up to certain events. But I'm thinking this is probably where we are being pulled over, I think. Like maybe a certain thing happened during that day that made her make certain decisions behind the wheel, and that ended up being a costly venture because of this Ace of Pentacles, and then justice is right there. Now, justice can often mean that justice is actually being done, or that we're going to see some justice. But I think in this case, it literally just means justice was there to judge what was happening. Okay, we got them. Let's see what we got. This one wants to go this way, so I'm going to turn it like that. We have here, all right, strength. Okay, so this probably is also pointing towards her showing strength in the face of this confrontation. She was definitely not just doing whatever she was being told, so that's probably what that is pointing towards. It's definitely a character strength. Emperor in reverse, which is definitely something you do tend to see when somebody in a certain position is not doing their job right. So I'm guessing this is pointing towards the state trooper. Was it a state trooper? Well, in any case, Brian, I think their name was, who pulled her over initially. So there is definitely some type of mismatch going on there in energies. Star in reverse. I often see star, particularly when it's in reverse in like missing persons cases, as the moment somebody kind of like loses their star power. And I also tend to see that as being taken from the world, like their power diminishes, like that type of thing. Like normally, if you were to think of the people in the world as a whole sky full of stars, and the moment somebody disappears for whatever reason, that like the star starts to dim. That's kind of what I always tend to feel like is happening when the star is in reverse in these types of cases. So then we have the Five of Pentacles in reverse. So we have lost a lot of things, but I think also we're feeling a very strong sense of loss here. Also very much looked down upon, because I often see this eye over here in the doorway looking at this person who appears to be completely naked in the streets, cold and dark out in the night, so to speak. So maybe she feels like people are ignoring her or trying purposely not to have anything to do with her, like some type of leper situation. And true to the fact, the man she was living with did not answer her call, so maybe that's also what's being shown here. Also, I'm now turning the Two of Cups around, which is also in reverse. So maybe this connection is the one she had hoped would be the best for her, but we see that there is something tying her foot together, and this person is kind of like pinning her in the corner here with his arm as well, but they're not being very helpful. So I'm guessing this is also her disappointment in this person not coming through for her. Let's see what happens next. So I'm guessing at this point she has already been put in jail. Also, there's blood on the floor over there. I don't know if you guys saw that, but it's kind of like pretty dire situation that they're in, and like a time of need type of situation where she would hope that people would come to her side. We're also putting it right on the Two of Cups here, so I'm guessing this is the same person that she initially had the Two of Cups with before. And well, the people that she was going to work with obviously have no idea what's going on with her at that point, but I'm thinking this is also referencing the person that she was trying to contact most, dropping her as a hot potato. Do you want to go or not? Yes. It is really hot today, so my skin is a little bit sticky, so that's why the card occasionally sticks to the back of my hand. All right, Page of Swords uprights. Okay, Page of Swords is normally very quick to act. It's a little bit of an immaturity type of energy here, and it's words, it's thoughts, so she may be in a bit of a heightened state. She may be saying and thinking all sorts of things that were not well thought through, so I'm guessing there's a lot being said over here, a lot being thought over here, which is probably not investigated well enough to see if they're objectively true or not. We have two cards here. We have the Lovers. Okay, the Lovers again, but then the Eight of Swords. So this Lovers card is definitely a little bit more intense than the Two of Cups that we had earlier. There appears to be an all-encompassing connection here being made, but we're also looking at this snake that is biting them in the heel, or the calf rather. And the moon is blowing like some type of wind towards them, which kind of suggests how people usually suggest that when the full moon is out, people start acting crazy because there's just something about the full moon that makes them act a certain way. So this also kind of seems to point towards some type of extreme mood, maybe some type of extreme connection that they're trying to make or something, or maybe trying to call back on, because we're looking at the Eight of Swords as well. Again, with the moon blowing at the head. So it could be that there are things happening in her mind that are not truthful, and it is trapping her in place, because the Eight of Swords is a mental entrapment. Usually when it's upright, it's something that can be escaped if you wanted to, but I feel like this combination of cards is pointing towards just something going on in her head that's not letting her go, and she's not able to see anything other than whatever is being conjured up in her mind. Almost like some temporary insanity type of thing, lunacy, which is where the word comes from, Luna, lunatic, that type of thing. So a temporary lapse in judgment, I think, is what's going on there. At least the mind is full of things that are not reasonable, like that type of thing. And then we have the Ace of Swords, all right, and the Four of Cups and the Fool. Okay. So Ace of Swords is again a new initiative. We already had that over there, but it's thinking of things, wanting to do things without having any choices, at least not liking our choices here, not having much options that we actually appreciate, also stuck here in this tower. And earlier we were talking about lunacy, and now we have the Fool over here dancing with the fishes. So we're letting ourselves being guided by something, and once again this fish is biting. So earlier we had over here this snake that was biting, and now we have a fish that's biting. So it is not a positive type of letting the universe guide you situation over here. This may be also what is a result of the plan. They are thinking of things that they could do, but not really having much options over here. And then we're like, okay, we'll just see whatever happens. But this whatever happens is not what she would have wanted to happen in the first place. It's very strange, but let's take a look what else we can get. So I'm guessing this is like the days leading up to it. Like she was already in jail at this point, and there are, of course, 3 days that she was there. So this is probably the 11th or the 12th, and maybe already the 13th. Then we have the Knight of Pentacles. Normally, Knight of Pentacles is very practically minded, but in this case, you might be practically working on the wrong thing. We may be steaming towards some type of outcome or some type of thing that we think may gain us something, and instead, it's not what we really want, not what we should be heading towards. I'm almost getting this feeling like maybe she thought something else was going to happen as a result of her actions, and she was hoping for some better outcome there. Now how, I don't know, but let's take a look what other cards we can find. Oh, there's quite a bit actually. There's a large stack here. I'll shuffle this again, and there's one separate one that fell down there, but I think we need only a few of this card. Few? Maybe a couple of others. All right, fine. Let's see, this one came first. And the moon in reverse. Okay, so we are definitely being danced around like a puppet here, but it's hidden. So it could be that this mind control type of thing is happening in a way that is not visible. So this may be something that's playing out entirely in her own little world there at that point. Now, here we go. Another show being put on. Over here we have marionettes being controlled by the moon, and over here we have puppets being controlled by the puppet master. So there's definitely something going on here that is making her act in ways that she would normally not act. So there is something They didn't find anything in her system other than THC, which they suspect she already had before she even ended up in jail. So it's probably not that she was slipped something at that point. Of course, I'm not the person who did the autopsy, so I don't know. But it seems as though something was just going on. It's kind of like a bad to worse type of situation. And I think it's mostly inside of her mind at this point. Queen of Swords in reverse and the Three of Swords. Okay, three is a crowd. This person is by themselves though, so it may be that she is once again being very dramatic about certain things, maybe also feeling very hard done by and seeing shadows. And the Queen of Swords in reverse. Normally the Queen of Swords is a very practical person, somebody who is very sharp-witted, and maybe they had what they thought was an ironclad plan, but it turned out not to be what she thought, or it was not quite something that she would normally come up with. In any case, it was not well thought out, and she did not do well as a result of it. But this really does seem like a very sad, deeply sad state of mind, where she kind of feels let down by everybody. It seems as though everybody that could let her down feels like in this moment is letting her down. And she also appeared to be trying to touch the tip of this sword over here, or the blade, which is also kind of suggesting that maybe a bit of self-harm was happening over here, like maybe intentionally drumming up thoughts that made her hurt, which is of course very sad that there is this situation going on, like a negative downward spiral that's also kind of like fueled from within, like that is what I'm trying to say. Okay, you guys want to go? All right, fine. So the world is here, and the Eight of Wands is in reverse. We're not able to connect, which is usually what the Eight of Wands is pointing towards, like a communication thing, connection thing, actions as well. But we're not able to do so. But we do have the world here, and I think this is probably the 13th. Like over here we are not able to connect, and then very quickly afterwards the world is here, and this is probably where she was discovered and where the whole ball started rolling that led to all of the other stuff that everybody is publicly aware of. They were already aware of the situation beforehand, but now everybody was definitely aware. The people that weren't aware before now suddenly knew of her and knew of her situation, and of course it was sadly too late at that point. Those two want to drop. Six of Wands and a Queen of Swords. All right, so Six of Wands is somebody who's being celebrated. So maybe there is some celebration happening. Well, not a celebration as in yay, but more like from her misery comes something good, like that type of thing. And we also have the Queen of Swords here, which points to me as, at least points out to me that we are looking at all the things that are wrong. I think these two cards are pointing towards that bill that they ended up passing because of her, that now makes it so that people are checked for different types of potential mental conditions, and also that they make sure to check the cells that they're in regularly to make sure that everybody knows exactly what's happening with who and what time. So there is a little bit of a silver lining type of thing coming from that, but we already knew that, of course. Let's see, I think that's the story. Looks as though there was just an incredibly negative downward spiral, mostly from within, that occurred, and I feel like she didn't really intend for this to be the result. Like she didn't intend to step out at that point. I had to pause there for a moment because an incredible wave of sadness actually just came across me for some reason. And I feel like I want to draw some cards before we stop about what type of message we should carry away from all this. Like, what is it that we still need to say, or what needs to be said. Let's see if we can get anything of that nature. All right, we have the Ten of Swords on its side. So Ten of Swords is normally like a dark before the dawn. I think I mentioned it earlier with another card. And it is often a feeling like the worst is happening and there's no way out of this dark night. But the dawn is usually the darkest, like the term says, dark before the dawn. So basically, it's kind of like a hang in there because help is on the way type of card. And also this person is looking at their phone, which is interesting to note. So maybe it's also a little bit of, instead of looking at our phones, why don't we get out there and actually do things? And if we just kind of like work on that, maybe the dawn will be here sooner, like that type of message. Let's see what else we can get. Oh, there's a couple on my lap. These two, no, these three. 9 of Cups in reverse. All right, so feeling very bad about things. 4 of Pentacles, and that is balancing your resources, and the Wheel of Fortune is basically things moving, the wheel turning, and we get a new chance at things. So this is almost like a wish things were better. All we can do now is balance out what we do have, do the things that we can do, and then steer towards a more positive future. Like that is what I'm seeing from these 3 cards. Anything else? Oh, here we go. All right, no hasty words. That's basically what this one is saying. Knight of Swords is somebody, as you can see, they tend to charge into the storm, the sword raised, and maybe they're not even really sure what they're fighting, but they want to fight something, like that type of thing. And the reason why it's in reverse, I feel, is because we need to pick our battles and really know what we're going to go after and to get the best results, like that type of thing. And in the meantime, try not to speak too many hasty words, because that might lead to worse consequences and leave everybody worse off than they were before. Whoop. That one. All right, good. 4 cards. These 2 and you. All right. So I'm guessing these are the 4 final ones. 5 of Swords, which is a verbal jousting. We're fighting people, and occasionally we feel like we've won the shouting match, but did we really win, or is it actually a loss? We need to dig deep into that as well, dig into our own actions to figure out what it is that we really want to win, how to go about these things. Queen of Wands in reverse, so we need to not act too hastily, examine all of our new ideas and new initiatives, because otherwise it might lead to bad things, and then ultimately wait for the good things to grow on the vine with our 7 of Pentacles here. All right, I'll put you back because you got shoved off there. We're about to put that in line with our Wheel of Fortune. So it's like, temper your thoughts and your words. Try not to fight battles that aren't worth fighting. Don't do things that are just bound to fail, and really examine what's next. And then we can see some positive change ripening on the vine. Almost like a don't let it go to waste type of message. I think that's it for this case. So that is what I'm seeing for Sandra Bland. I hope you found that interesting. Make sure to leave a like and a comment, or a dislike if you disliked it. That's also an option. And if you want to subscribe, that's even more welcome. I hope to see you in another video. In any case, thanks for watching, and bye-bye for now.